They're getting everyone wired in here. We've got about 53 people out in the lobby here.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I think we're going to have to actually have this at Tom Taggart Field. And the stands will be full.
There you go.
Give everybody a microphone.
We got donuts again this morning, folks. Oh, Bobby Aldrich here at 1039 WBZX. Talking over each other. We got an FM and AM radio.
I'm Pete Ken.
This reminds me of back to BRN days when Bill Beckwith would be talking and the AM would ride over top of his newscast and everybody like, what the heck's going on? You remember those days? Andy Thompson's with us this morning.
I remember Andy. BRN, yeah.
Andy's a UPS driver. You tired now?
No.
All right. Well, Andy's
he's got two young girls at home speaking and talking.
I'm a lot younger than you, Pat.
Yeah, I know it, and that's good. And Bryden Guttenhow from both you guys are coaches. Obviously, that's what this program's all about. Co-host Brian Miller here, Sheriff Mecosta County, taking on getting us guests every week. But thank you, Brian. Good morning.
Morning.
And
listen, we'll start, I guess, and introduce the two.
There you go.
And,
I'm going to let you do that. Go ahead.
All right. Well, we have Andrew Thompson with us, head coach of the Girls Crossroads Charter Academy basketball team, and Brian Goodenow, head coach of the boys Pine River basketball team. Both have been around the area for a long time, and
Brian, we kind of knew. He did a show here.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So it's good to have you back on a microphone.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's good to be here.
They both, I think, have district games coming up. I think Andrew has it next week, and Brian tonight.
Tonight, yeah. In fact, I just before I pulled in the driveway, I got the text that the game is on because the schools were all closed. So
up north of us, huh?
Yeah. It's actually a little squirrely north across the county line. So
I guess we'll start with Brian, have him introduce himself a little bit, who he is, what he is, and I guess talk about their season, and then talk about, I guess, their game tonight, and then we'll move to Andrew with their game being next Wednesday.
Okay, sounds good. Varsity boys basketball coach at Pine River. I was trying to count back. I think this is my 12th season as the varsity coach. Young team this year, but we've had good success. We finished with 15 wins, 7 losses in the regular season, and 11-5 in our league. For third place, which I was okay with, and a very young team. I have 2 seniors on the team, one who starts. I start 2 sophomores who are pretty talented. Little growth needed, but some talented kids and kids who are really bought in and did a nice job this year. We did lose. We had 2 of our losses were in overtime. One to Manistee, who I knew Big Rapids just got beat by. They're a sneaky good team. The record doesn't really tell what they are. Lost to them in overtime, lost to Mansalona in overtime, a game that we led by 22 points at the half and kind of fell apart in the second half. So we had a couple, we had 3 or 4 losses that I wasn't very happy with. But at the same time, I think if you'd have told me before the season started, knowing how young, how young we are, if you'd have said you're going to go 15-7, 11-5 in your league, I would have signed off on that right away. So we've had a nice year, and we have a chance to continue that. We earned the 2nd seed in the district, so we had to bye for the first round, and tonight we play Beaverton. So, and I'm sure you're all aware, Coach Roy Johnston at Beaverton, living legend, more wins than anyone in high school basketball in the state of Michigan. He announced partway through the year, this is his last year, his 50th at Beaverton. So we expect that his kids are probably going to be playing a little inspired. No one would want to be the team, that had Coach Roy not win a district. So we'll have our hands full tonight, but I think if we play well, we're optimistic that we have a good chance. And our district is at Beale City, so they're the host, they're the number 1 seed. So if we're lucky to get to the Friday night game, probably expect that there's a good chance we'll see them, although they play Everett, and Everett is just one of those teams that is scrappy all the time. So they'll have a good game tonight, and we'll, hopefully we get to see the winner on Friday.
Tell me about Xander Martin. Is he anything like his dad?
Thank God, no. No, just kidding. Xander's a great kid, great athlete, great scholar, great student athlete. Kid does really well in the classroom as well, and he's one of our best defenders, and has really come on as this year has gone on. He's a junior, and he's playing good basketball right now.
His starting 5.
His dad's one of our court officers, Shane Martin, and Shane was a pretty good wrestler, and I love him to death.
Yeah, great guy and a great encourager of our team, but definitely, luckily Xander didn't get his basketball skills from Shane.
Starting 5, their names.
We start a junior at center, Trevor Holmquist, 6'5" kid with good, strong He's lean, but he's not as skinny. He's 6'5", so he's tough.
Holmquist. From Reed City?
There's a relation there, I guess, but he's not directly to so you're thinking like Chuck. And
right. Because Chuck in his own right was an all-stater.
Great ball player. And it's funny because Trevor looks like a young Chuck.
Really?
He's blonde, curly hair. He looks just like Chuck did back then. Nathan Marks is my senior starter, guard, really quick, tenacious defender. Let's see, mentioned, who did I forget here? Mason Google is one of the sophomores. He's our leading scorer and one of our leading rebounders. He's like a 6'3" guard who shoots the ball well. He put up 30 points the other night, had a couple of dunks in the game, so in our last home game. So he's been a solid performer for us. Eli Smith is our other sophomore who starts and plays guard. He's really come on this year as we've gone along. And so, like I said, we're young, but we've got some talent there. Who am I forgetting? The fifth guy. I hate it when that happens.
That's what I shouldn't ask you. That's unfair.
But
you think about it in a minute.
We have 10 guys on the team this year, 10 varsity players before we moved up some young guys for the postseason. But we play all 10 regularly.
Yeah.
So there isn't a big defining line between our starting five.
Okay.
We rotate 10 bodies through, and that's one of the things that's helped us have some success.
We have a pretty good program up there in basketball traditionally.
We like to think so, but we have a lot of peaks and valleys just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So I looked back the other day. Pine River High School had its first varsity basketball team in 1966. And so just kind of looking back through the years, in all those years, we are just the 15th team to reach 15 wins or more. Now, granted, we get the 2 extra games now, but, everything's relative. But there's peaks and valleys. I mean, when I first started, I was lucky to inherit some really talented teams, and we won, I think, 19, 20, and 17 games my first 3 years. And I'm like, well, this is easy. And then we got a little lean after that, so it's just like everybody else. There are peaks and valleys as the talent pool kind of ebbs and flows.
It's in the blood, coaching, and obviously it's in yours now. Tell us a little bit about who was your mentor. Who did you work under when you first started? I look at you and you got to be 50.
I'm 57. So
okay.
So thank you.
Yeah. All right. So you've been doing it for 13 years up there. Prior to that, where were you?
Well,
what got you into coaching too?
I grew up. I'm a Pine River guy. I grew up there. Initially, I got started coaching baseball, Little League baseball, and of course, as my kids were involved, and did that for I think 20 years. Multiple children. So that was kind of how I first got my feet wet coaching. And then when my youngest son, who's now 25, was coming through, grade school, I coached his basketball team. And then I did a year as a JV assistant coach. And I'm like, this is kind of fun, with the bigger kids too. So I coached 2 years of freshman boys basketball after that at Pine River. And then our team, we didn't have a freshman program after that. I took over as the girls JV coach, so I did 2 years of JV girls basketball, and then the varsity boys position opened up, and I was a little reluctant to apply. I didn't think I was qualified. A couple people talked me into it, and I managed to get the job, and I've loved every minute of it.
You graduated from Pine River, so you played ball there.
I did, yeah.
What sports did you play?
I played baseball, basketball.
Okay.
So I helped coach the baseball team there for 10 years too with Coach.
Do you remember what your record was?
In high school, basketball?
Yeah. No, baseball. Because you were a good baseball player, weren't you?
I was decent, yeah.
You guys had a pretty good team then, didn't you?
Yeah, the baseball program there has always been top notch. Yeah. Rupert does a great job. When I was in high school, I played 3 years of varsity, and I know we did well. We won a couple of district championships. I mean, that's winning a district championship at Pine River has always just kind of been an expectation in baseball.
Right.
Now the last several years, Everett has a little bit to say about that, and Reed City, and some of the other teams, some of the other programs have improved a lot too. And we had some really good baseball teams. I was a catcher. I liked being involved, and that was and I couldn't pitch, so that was my one way to stay involved all the time. So, but mentor wise, I was it's kind of interesting you say that because just yesterday, out of the blue, I got a text from my high school baseball coach Tom Roy, who was one of my definitely one of the people who shaped my life, one of my biggest mentors and inspirations. And I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, and just out of the blue, he sent me a text that said, hey, congratulations on a great season, rooting for you and the team in the district tournament, go Bucks. And I mean, that kind of stuff chokes me up.
Yeah,
it does all of us. So that's one of my big mentors. But Ted Raven was my high school basketball coach, he's kind of a living legend too, and he went on to do the administration at Pine River, and has been involved in the community forever. Hall of Fame there.
Bob's dad.
Yes,
because we had Bob on last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Bob on last
And
week.
there are two who are cut from the very same cloth
Yeah.
right there. Bob coaches. It's like you watch Bob coach. It's like watching his dad back in the 70s and 80s.
Well, yeah, everybody strives for that championship year, and unfortunately, not everybody gets to get there. And the area around here, one thing you all have in that you all have so much pride. And if you look at what you're doing for these young kids today, is more importantly than wins and losses. You're teaching them the concept of teamwork, love for one another, respect, and discipline. Mm-hmm. Education today has got a long road to go and to get better, obviously, but sports is an outlet that teaches these kids to be good like you are today. Sports was a big influence in your life.
Right, very much so, yeah. Yeah, we really do try to focus on that a lot. We always do, make sure they remember that they're student athletes, so the classroom comes first. We are very attentive to grades. Myself and I have assistant coach and a JV coach who are both very committed to that. We both, check grades on a weekly basis, or all of us check grades on a weekly basis. And if somebody's struggling, we make sure that they get some tutoring help or just turn in their work, which is usually the biggest issue. So, but we do try to really emphasize that. And we've talked a lot about how just being part of a team, being something bigger than yourself is really what it's all about.
Yeah, like Brennan Walsh being my brother's son-in-law, left the Cardinals, go up to the Coyotes, and took over 2 years he's in now. And those guys up there just love him. And I always ask individuals when they come in what's so great about him, and they say because he cares, and really cares. And he has team dinners, and they play football together. They do other things besides just basketball.
Right.
But I always look at him and thinking, you guys will realize what he's done for you 20 years down the road as being a father, co-worker, or a leader in your community, whatever. It's going to come from sports.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing up there, and that's pretty important. What's the furthest you've gone in basketball up there? Because
in the history of the school, they went to the quarterfinals back in 2001. I think they had a really talented group that won their region and went to the quarterfinals. I think, if I remember, that game was in Sheboygan for some reason, because I remember I made the road trip and they lost to Nagani. But other than that, a couple of I think that's the only regional champion that we've had in basketball. So
now, you, unlike us, you're all rural up there, so your kids don't have a city that they live in, like Big Rapids.
Yeah,
you go quite a ways out, like to the west. How far would you go? Just like 5-6 miles.
Yeah, it's almost all the way. It's like almost to Lake County over there. So
really,
where Caryville is, if people are familiar, we've kids who come from there. So yeah, I think the last I had heard, we have one of, if not the biggest geographical school district in the state. It's really stretched out in every direction. So yeah, the kids are coming from a lot of ways, and that's a big commitment, especially with the younger kids, with the parents, to get transportation back and forth to the school all the time. So we're very appreciative of how committed our kids and parents are.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's expensive for one thing, time consuming for one thing, and it's going to be pretty hard to do a youth program. But that's what I love. We're resilient. America's resilient, aren't we?
Yeah,
for what we do, and we're very passionate about athletics. Next guy over here, Andy. Known you for a lot of years. Got a wonderful wife, Courtney, there. You got some beautiful children. I think I admire you as being a parent. I see you pictures all the time with your kids. One thing they have in common, besides pretty little kids, is they always got a smile on their face. That's a reflection on you as a parent, and Courtney. And you got into track coaching at first, didn't you?
No, not really. My daughter runs a lot, and I go down there and.
Well, that's a different guy then. We'll get to him later, Brian. We'll have to talk to that track coach. But anyway, no. But you're into basketball, and I know it's a passion for you. You went to Everett, right?
Correct.
All right. So what year did you graduate? And then I want to ask you how old you are.
Okay. I graduated in 91, and I'm 51.
All right. So then you played ball over there?
Yep, played ball at Everett. Yep.
Did you go right up in the city then? Or village, whatever?
No, I grew up south of town. Same place I live right now. Been there for my entire life.
Wow, really?
Yep.
They got a beautiful home.
Yeah. Not only that, but your mother sings, doesn't she?
She did, yeah. She's singing in heaven now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
But I was somewheres more than once, and she sang.
Yeah,
Beautiful
yeah,
voice.
Yeah, they used to. My mom and dad would travel around to churches, and my dad played the guitar. My mom sang.
Yeah. Did you?
No, nobody wants to hear it.
No. How about instrument?
No.
Never.
Everybody else in my family has musical talent. I have zero, but man, I can sing in my UPS truck like you wouldn't believe.
Right. Well, I bet if you can sing like your mother, everybody remembers little things about different people,
Oh, yeah.
and that's one thing I remember. Beautiful woman and beautiful voice. Yeah,
For sure.
So that's a compliment to you today. So you send your kids to Crossroads.
Well, I have two that go to Chip Hills, my two youngest ones. I have my boy is a junior at Big Rapids, and my daughter's a senior at Crossroads. So we're going everywhere.
So pretty much you're diversified.
Yeah, we're
That's good. Yeah. Which ones
the
wear
wealth.
pajamas to school?
Seems like Chip Hills wears pajamas a lot.
They do.
Yeah.
Isn't
Drives
that
me
sad?
nuts.
Brian, what?
my kid wears sweats to school, and it absolutely kills me. But
Yeah.
you know what? It is what it is. I went to a Catholic school where I had to wear a tie to school.
Yeah.
Then to see your kid wearing sweats is quite different.
Yeah.
My two little girls, we just quit telling them about pajama day, and they just put them in pants.
But Brian, you had to wear a tie every day to school, but now look what you are. You're the sheriff.
Right.
I'm telling you, these kids, we won't go on a long tangent on this, but I'm telling you what, right now, you guys were brought up right. What's going on in today's world in these schools and stuff, letting them, I call it being liberals, getting away with what they get away with is unbelievable. And they say, well, it's the parenting. Well, I'll give you an example. This one young man comes into the gas station. Ever since he's a little kid, I like the kid. He's respected by me, and he respects me. Then he gets up into high school and he plays basketball, and everybody up there tells me what kind of a bad kid he is. I said, I don't see. And then one day he comes in the station, somebody says, there's that kid that we've been telling you that gets away with everything. I see he's one of the nicest kids I know. You know why that is? He knows I won't put up with it. And he knows that these are the rules that you have to abide by when you come into Curries. To this day, him and I are good friends. He's a father now. He's a good young man. But sometimes you have to discipline him. And he even tells me once in a while, he says, you're the only discipline I had when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Coming into this gas station. But anyway, we didn't come here to listen to old man Curry talk
So
about
who do
bitching
you,
about
who do
the
you
world.
have coming up? I guess tell us about your season at Crossroads and your team and what makes them what they are, and then who you have coming up in districts.
Okay, well, currently we're 16-5. We're 13-4 in our conference for third. We have our last home game is tomorrow night, 6:00 against Me6, senior night. We haven't had seniors in the entire time I've been there, so it's a big
Why?
deal. I don't know. It's just I've been there with this team for 4 years. We've had one senior, and she played her senior year and hadn't played since 8th grade. So I don't know. Kids just don't come out like they used to. So it's a big deal. I'd love to get a lot of people there tomorrow night.
At Crossroads?
Yeah, at Crossroads, 6:00 against
Okay.
Me6. We play some fun basketball. We're flying up and down the court. These kids are great. So
I'll try to do that because I just interrupt you a little bit. Pete
No.
taught me how to do this. Last time I was in that gym when Roy and Matt Holsworth played.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a good basketball team then.
yeah, they did.
Good
Yeah,
coaches and
Yep.
beautiful gym. So, folks, if you've never been in
Fantastic.
Crossroads Gym, that's about as nice as gym you're in. Brian's over here shaking his head. It is, isn't it,
It is
Brian?
really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't played a regular season game there, but we've scrimmaged a time or two, and always a very nice facility.
Yeah, it is. It's a great facility. Yes.
So how did you get into coaching?
Kind of just stumbled into it. I started, 4 years ago, I helped Kevin Brigham with the JV team there when we had a JV team. And then the next year, Kostecki was the varsity coach. We had 5 freshmen and a sophomore and our varsity girls team. And I was like, hey, I can come and help out anytime you want. And he's like, sure. So I went every night I could and helped out. And then he left for Big Rapids. Kostecki did. And we had hired Elena Cheney when the girls were sophomores. And I was her assistant coach there, helped her out. And she got pregnant, had a baby, and moved on with her life. And I'm like, well, somebody's got to do it. And Mr. Meads is like, you want to do it? I'm like, sure, I'll do
Well,
it.
how do you do it with your schedule and working? Because UPS drivers, you
yeah.
don't get out in time.
No.
Or you make it, huh?
Yeah, I go to work about an hour and a half before work starts, and I load my truck and get everything set, and I run my butt off all day long.
Good for you. So it can be done.
It can be done. Yeah, it's tough, but it's it's worth it. It's so much fun.
Gosh,
Love it. Yeah, get home about 8, 9 o'clock every night and do it again. So,
But you're doing memories right now, aren't you?
huge.
Wouldn't change it for nothing.
Nope.
Money can't buy this, can it? Can
No.
it, Brian?
No.
You can't. I mean, when it comes into contracts, you guys don't even look at the money, do you?
There's money.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
When did
You
that
see my truck
Not
out
like
there?
in detail, yeah. No, but it isn't about money. Like I was telling the guys this morning at the mayor's table, I says, the richest guy I ever met was unhappiest guy I ever met.
Yeah.
So it's not about money. Everybody thinks that we want that because we need that, but
It's about relationships.
friends and relationships.
Yeah.
But go ahead on your basketball team.
So yeah, we're tomorrow night. Back the stands if you could. That'd be great. Then next week we're the number 2 seed in our district. I think we have one of the toughest districts in the state in our division. We have Mount Pleasant Sacred Heart in there. We have Coleman and Marion's in there, McBain Christian and us. So it's a really tough district, but we're a really tough team. So we can, if we play to our potential, we can win it. Our first game's against Coleman next Wednesday at 7, up at McBain Christian again. Their record isn't that great, but they play in that conference with Sacred Heart and St. Charles, and all those teams are ranked in the top 15, 20 in the state. So they're a lot better than their record.
All right, one more thing now. Not one more. I have a lot of them.
Good.
Friday night, you're playing at 6 o'clock. Or
Thursday night. Yep.
Who are you playing?
We play Mesick.
But that's not the district.
No.
It's the regular
Girls
season.
usually start a week after the boys.
Yeah, I think they flip-flop it every year.
Yeah, they flip-flop
this year,
again
the
this year.
girls are, even though the boys started this week, girls start next week.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, like Mount Pleasant Sacred Heart, they are always tough. I
Yeah.
remember Kostecki. He's a hell of a coach, isn't he?
Mhm, yeah, he was a
he
good
did real
coach.
well at Crossroads, didn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
He coached both boys and girls there.
Yeah, he was very successful.
Now, Scott Pratt, does he have a girl on the Sacred Heart team?
Gosh, I have no clue.
Okay, Scott Pratt is
Yeah.
local phys ed teacher through Big Rapids and
Yeah.
works at St. Mary's and St. Peter's.
Right.
Played baseball at Central, and
That's
if you
over.
look in the State High School Athletic Association's state records, his name's in there a couple different times.
Baseball?
Baseball, hell of
Yeah.
a baseball player.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he is. Very good man. So, who's some of your stars on your team?
Well, my daughter, she's Melly Thompson. She's been starting for 4 years on varsity. She's a heck of a player.
Tall?
She's their point guard, and she's probably the
point guard.
tallest kid on the team. She's 5'7", 5'8", something like that. Skinny as rail, just like her dad was. And I got Katie Buys, who's her dad is Randy Buys from Central Landscape Design. She is one of the greatest kids you'll ever meet. I love that girl. She's a forward. She scores a lot of points for us. Great defensive player. Probably one of the best defensive players you'll ever find. Jackie Cole. She's like a water bug, fire ant. She is all over the place. Sometimes she's out of place, but I don't even care. Just get after it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
her folks are from Canadian Lakes.
yeah.
Her-
Paul and Chrissy.
Her mom went to Lumen Christi.
Yeah.
She graduated a year behind me in high school.
Christy?
Christy.
Yeah, Christy.
Graduated a year behind me in high
Christy
school.
Cole, yeah.
I met them when they first came to town, and I watched those girls grow up, and she's the last one, isn't
Yeah,
she?
yeah, she is
Wonderful family.
After every game, I have people come out and stands like, I'd pay big money just to watch her play because she
Oh,
is
really?
all over the place.
I'll have to watch. I'll have to
Sometimes
watch.
she scores 3 points, sometimes she'll score 20, but she is everywhere. Every loose ball, she's on it. She's just so fun to have.
Yeah, her sisters were good athletes, too,
Yes,
weren't
they were very good. Yep.
Boy, they're a wonderful family.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
great. Yep.
That's the all-American family right
oh yeah,
there,
for sure. Yep.
amongst all of you, too.
Yep.
But go ahead.
Then I got Salem Uas. Her dad's one of my assistants, also John. He's coached Little League forever and baseball forever. Great coach. And then just a few weeks ago, we put Mercedes' car into our starting lineup for her sister. So her sister, Alexis, is a junior. She's been starting for us for a couple of years, but now she's a fantastic three-point shooter. So we need a little more firepower on the bench. So she comes off the bench and buries threes for us. And Mercedes is maybe 5 foot tall. I call her our spider monkey. She is kind of like Jackie, but a freshman, and she's just all over the place. And she's, we needed a little spark. We're struggling there for a few games, so I put her in there because speed is what our game is. Speed kills, they say, and we put her in there to have. We got 4 super fast girls that just all over the court. So,
You guys do. So I'm assuming you run a lot of full court press.
we have been. Yep. We press a lot. Pressing's tough because, man,
Well, especially if you got a small team.
yeah, we're small, but we're fast and we're kind of wiry. Everybody's got long arms and wiry. So yeah, we've been pressing a lot. We get the ball and go because anybody. All of our girls, well, at least 4 of our 5 starters, they can get the ball and they can just take off. We try to stretch it, try to pass it up court as fast as we can, and get those easy buckets.
You guys believe in the 3-point, live or die? What do you coach your guys, Brian? No Big Rapids.
Well, I haven't had a lot of great shooters the last few years, so no. And I've seen it work both ways. Beale City, who's hosting our district, is one of the best teams in the area, and they 100% are the live or die by the 3. I mean, they shoot them in volume. They don't always shoot a great percentage, but they shoot them in volume, and it's a powerful weapon. It's not just the extra point per basket; it's the momentum thing. Somebody comes down and hits a big 3, like you feel the energy, go up in the gym. So we haven't been in that position to live or die by it, but this year we've made many more than we have in previous years, and yeah, it's a great weapon. But it's amazing, and I'm sure you can agree too, Coach. It's like there's times they shoot it, and you're like, no, yes. No. It's like that's a terrible shot selection, but when it goes in, oh baby, it's
You're honest, Brian. I love it. That's a good one. Yeah. No, yes. Yeah. Well, how about you?
Yeah, I'm not a live or die by it, but I've been on our girls to shoot a lot more of them this year. Melly, my daughter, she would not shoot the ball. She's so good at driving and getting layups and getting in the paint. And I kept getting on her. I'm like, we got to have you shoot jumpers. I mean, if we're going to win tournament games, we got to hit jump shots. They're not, we get playing good teams. They're not going to let you drive in the lane all the time. So, and the last 2-3 games, she's been burying some jumpers for us. So that's been huge. And if they're open and they don't shoot it, I'm on them. Like, set your feet, shoot the ball. If you make 1 out of 3, that's a point every trip.
Right.
So.
See, I'm not a math magician by any means, but my coworker actually has a master's degree in math, and we were talking about it one day. He said, "So, what is your typical shooting percentage you look for from the floor for your team?" And I said, "I'd like us to shoot around 45%." Right. And he says, "Okay," he does the math real quick, and it's so if they shoot 30% from 3, points wise, that's the equivalent to 45%, from 2. And I'm like, I hadn't thought about it that way,
Yeah.
So it's like, so we did start encouraging a little more shooting from outside, but we always, it's like it needs to be a step in 3 or a kick out or on a skip pass, because you can take a 3-pointer anytime you want, but there's a difference between just getting it because you're taking it or getting it because it's open.
Yep.
And that's what we want to shoot quality 3-pointers, and
for sure.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Here's a question from the audience. Go ahead. Well, I'd like to know if what wins games, defense or offense?
Oh, defense, 100%. We've been stressing that crazy lately. Defense. Girls basketball, if you score 40 in a game, that's a good game. So our goal is to keep them under 30 all the time. We don't always do that, but that's our goal. Keep them under 30, and then you got a really good chance of winning that game.
Do you practice boxing? I noticed I went to a few games this year. I didn't see a lot of that. I just wondered your perception on boxing, basketball. I mean, back when my kids played, Adam and that team that he had, they won a lot of games because they knew how to box out.
Yeah.
Therefore, they got the rebounds and then they went. But and they were just athletic guys, but they weren't real finesse when it came to basketball. But that Reggie Mainville was their coach that 1 year, and 2 things he did was he ran them every night, so they never got tired in the game. I want your thoughts on running and the conditioning, and then the boxing out on defense. How important is that, and do you teach it?
Yeah, we have several box out drills we work on. That's huge. I think that's a huge issue with MHSAA, honestly, the box out thing, it is a disaster under there all the time. People there's no over the back calls anymore, which I kind of understand, because if you can jump over and grab the ball without, but there's fouls all the time. Just people shoving and throwing out. It's mass chaos on the rebounds all the time. And I think if a girl boxes out properly, they should get the advantage. And sometimes they don't, because it's just a blob of mess down there. So we work on boxing out all the time. We're smaller. We're not a very big team. Like I said, Melly, I think 5'8" about our tallest girl, so we have to box out. But we have girls that can jump out of the gym too. Melly and Katie, they can both jump like crazy, so which helps a ton. But yeah, boxing out is huge.
How about you, Brian?
We work on it very regularly. We have a lot of drills we do, but I'll be first to admit it's a long lost art. I mean, I'm the same with you, Pat. I watch a lot of games, and you just don't see anybody really using proper technique. And that is one of those things with kids. You drill it, and then when the time comes, they want to stand there and try and out-jump everybody. And like in our league, you're playing teams like McBain, who are starting, they have one kid on the lineup who's under 6'4". You better box out, or they're just going to stand behind you and just grab every rebound. So it's tough to get kids to buy into it, and we work hard at it, but I wouldn't say that we're succeeding. That's a battle for sure, and I agree. That there's a lot of stuff that goes on underneath that makes it tough. But one of my favorite, if there's any officials listening out there, because the officials like to come to us as coaches and say, one thing we don't want to hear your kids say this, or we don't want to hear you say that. You can ask us. One thing that I hate when officials say is they clarify to us all the time, there is no such thing as an over-the-back rule in basketball. Well, no, technically there isn't. But if I'm standing in a proper rebounding position and you jump into my body, then that should be a foul on you. Correct. But when they hear somebody in the crowd yell over the back, there is no such rule. No, in the rule book there is no such rule. But yeah, it's a long lost art, and the really good teams do it really well.
Yeah.
If you look at the still pictures from our games, you'll see so many girls are watching the ball, and that's what I talk about. You don't watch the ball. Find somebody, get a body on them, and then you look for the hoop, but it's just a natural thing to do,
Right. We try to employ the old Tom Izzo method of, hit them, find it, fetch it.
Yeah.
First thing you should do is make contact with your player, find the ball, then go attack it. We drill it, but again, they're not always great at it.
It's tough.
Another thing I want to ask you about is shooting. I've noticed back when we were kids learning how to play basketball, we all, Coach Tommy Ryan back in the day, said the best way to get it in the hoop is hitting that backboard. And there's a square up there, and this is where you hit that square to go in every time. And we just did it over and over and over. So I bet you, at St. Mary's, when I played ball there was nobody ever shot for the hoop. If you did, you came and sat on the bench. And you went back out there, you used the backboard. Today, the little kids even are going for the hoop and not for the backboard. What's your thoughts on that, and why is that? I mean, or do you guys use the backboard? Do you stress that?
I try to it depends on the shot. If you're on an angle, use the backboard. I mean, if you're going to swish it, I'm okay with that. We do tons of shooting drills, and girls basketball shooting is huge, because if you can shoot in girls basketball 35%, you're going to win a lot of games. And we stress shooting a lot. We do it in every practice.
Stress the backboard, or
not so much. No.
What's the percentage? What do you think the percentage is? The difference for swishing or the backboard?
Oh gosh, I have no clue, Pat.
You,
I don't
No.
know.
No, we're kind of the same. I mean, it depends on the shot. When we're around the rim, if you're on the block, those sorts of things, then we're absolutely encouraging them to use the backboard.
Sure.
Lay it up soft on that square and let it fall in. But for a jumper from a mid-range and out, most of them, we tell them to, just know what your target is, whether it's the front of the rim or the back edge. You've got to have a target that you're shooting for. You can't just chuck it up there.
Bobby,
all right, I
take a break.
Interject for a second and remind everybody you're listening to Curry's Hot Stove League here on B1039.
And take a potty break.
And Sheriff Brian Miller. So let's introduce our guests once again in case somebody just tuned in.
Brian Goodnow from Pine River, longtime basketball coach, and Andy Thompson from Crossroads. and Bob Aldridge from 103.9 WBZ.
Only if necessary.
And hey, Bob, just a quick reminder, it's cold out, so make sure you put your coat on. Wasn't that something yesterday? It was beautiful.
50-degree temperature drop.
Michigan's bipolar.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're living both of them.
Do we need to go to a song or anything?
No, we don't. I mean,
we don't?
Nope.
I like
if somebody would like to sponsor the show, get in touch with your best friend Jen.
Yeah,
796-1103.
We got enough sponsors on the other shows to throw some of them in here. Because half the show's sponsorship on that Monday one.
Hey, it's good to be popular.
Keep them off the radio.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you got some up-and-coming guys coming. I'm not trying to push you through the districts and the quarters and all that, but you're looking for some. You got a young team. You already said that.
We do, yeah. I'll have 8 returners back next year, so that's not a lot of slots. And our JV team had a good season as well. I think they went 17-5 or something like that. So there's some good young talent coming up, as sophomores coming to the varsity next year. So there's, there are going to be some hard conversations. Next week we try to do an exit interview with all the players, and it's going to be very blunt with a lot of them. That, I'm sure you've looked at the big picture. There's only going to be a handful of slots available next year. So what you do in this off season is going to have a lot to do with what kind of position you find yourself in next fall. So, it's a good problem to have. One thing I hate more than anything is having to make cuts. That's one of the hardest things we have to do as coaches. But there's only so many spots on a team. And, my years of coaching at the varsity level, 14 or more is tough. There are a lot of teams that do it, but it's tough to keep everybody happy. There's only so many minutes in the game. And at the varsity level, we're charged with winning games. No, it's not the most important thing. We're developing character. We're trying to develop young men into good citizens. That is always first and foremost, along with them being good students. The academics, I guess, should be at the top of that list. But we also are expected to win games where we don't always get to keep our jobs.
Right.
It's not an equal playing type of thing when you get to varsity. So, we're going to have a crowded team next year, but it should be a pretty talented team. There's some handful of guys on that JV team that are just tough.
Really? That
I'm looking forward to having on the varsity next year.
Oh, wow. How many do you carry?
Like I said, I had 10 this year, and then one young man who had to sit out, who's on our team but had a knee surgery, who sat out the entire year, but was on our bench. I may keep 14 next year, but that's kind of the top for me. It's I've kept that many before, and inevitably you end up with some issues before the season is over because
how many?
Everybody wants to play.
Is there a limit on how many you can have?
I don't know. I don't know if 15 is actually a rule, but
Andy?
I do not know.
Nobody in heck would you want to keep that many.
No.
Well, only thing is if you had a running team, keep them fresh. But how about school of choice, Brian? If you ever saw where a kid decided to go to like Cadillac north of you or Reed City south of you because of something going on there that they like, that they see that they have a better chance of playing, whatever? Because how many kids would you say are going to come out next year just off?
Will come out for the varsity team?
Yeah.
We'll have... If everybody comes out that I'm expecting, we'll have probably 16 or so trying out. So there'll probably have to be a couple of cuts made. But as far as answering the school of choice question, I'm not opposed to it. I think educationally, I think it's a great thing. When people use it for athletics, I think it's a bad thing. If you're leaving one school district to go to another because, I don't like the coach, or I think I'll get to play more here or whatever, I think that's a terrible decision. I think we take away so many growth opportunities for our kids by not letting them face adversity. I think that's the biggest disservice we're doing to kids these days is we eliminate any adversity for them.
Right.
And we are not doing them any favors at all.
I think at Big Rapids, been here my whole life, and I've watched the history of all our programs. And, basketball, Big Rapids has always been a basketball community here in the past. But I see of late that the kids, they're pretty good ball players, but they're probably not going to get to play, so they just don't go out. So does that happen up in Pine River, or not so much? Doesn't sound like it does.
Not the last few years, our numbers haven't been that big. But I would go back to one thing you were talking about earlier about the lack of seniors. Mm-hmm. Like us, for example. I mean, we only had 2 seniors on the team. And I went back and counted at one point. If everybody who played from, say, 7th grade on would have stayed with it, we would have had, I want to say, 6 this year. Wow. And this is, no offense to the kids, but some of them, and certainly this isn't a blanket statement, but some of them just, when it became clear that they weren't going to be in a prominent role, they just decided to quit.
Yeah.
And again, I think that part of that goes to that, that not being able to deal with adversity. Like, well, it's easier to just quit.
Right.
And sometimes you got to forge through things. And I've a couple of kids who don't play as many minutes. So like I said, all 10 play a fair amount, but a couple of kids who don't play as much, who are just great kids who work really hard. They just maybe aren't quite as skilled in some areas, but they still have a great attitude and work hard.
Now, this just I don't have anything scripted here, obviously.
Yeah.
But some kids get on a team, and I've watched a few games, never get to play. Never get to play. Why would a coach keep a kid like that? I mean, if you're good enough to make the team, don't they all are within seconds like a horse? I mean, we got grade A horses, grade B, grade C, grade D. We keep them all. We put them in there. We race them sometimes above their class. People are similar to that, I guess. My question to you is, if that 10th guy, your 10th guy, does he see the floor?
Yes. But in the years where I had 14 or even 13, I've had guys who very rarely got in a game.
And I understand that. But my point is, if you needed that 14th guy, do you put him on the team because if somebody gets sick, that 14th guy is going to be instrumental on playing?
Sure. I mean, we stress all the time that every role on the team is different, but every role on the team is vital. Even if you're the guy who doesn't get in very often, if you're working hard in practice every day, you're making the other guys better. You're giving the team a better chance to win. And I always like to use my daughter as a great example of this. She's 30 years old now, but she was a high school basketball player. And she's a big girl. She was 6 foot tall, good athlete, not a great basketball player, but a solid basketball player. Her junior year, she was just on a really good team. She could not get on the floor. And as a parent, I was very frustrated by it, but I understood it, So I talked to her my challenge to her was buy in, work harder, do more. And we did spend a lot of time working together. And the summer before her senior year, we actually every weekend came down to Ferris and worked with an outstanding lady named Rachel Fulchik. Remember Rachel?
Yeah, sure.
All-American at Ferris.
Yeah.
Contacted her, through the coaching staff and said, would you do one-on-one workouts? And she did. She worked with my daughter all that summer. Senior year, my daughter started every game, and they had a great season. But even that junior year, when she was never seeing the floor, she committed to working hard every single day. And I think back to, they won the conference championship at McBain, and the coach put some of those girls in for like the last 30 seconds of the game. Some people take offense to that.
Right.
Some of the girls on that team took offense to that. My daughter said, I worked as hard or harder than every girl on that team. That trophy we got that night is partially mine. I wanted that 30 seconds out on that floor.
Right. Good for her.
So it's a matter of, your attitude and how you approach it. But it is difficult. We all wish everybody could play, but I truly believe that all those roles are very important. Even if you don't get into many games or you don't get to play a lot of minutes, your role is still very important.
It's just important that I think the coach lets the players know that going in, that, hey, this is what your role is going to be. Don't expect a lot. We'll do what we can, but the situation being what it is, and if they accept that role, then...
I'll tell you something I read just the other day that really resonated is, having had to be in that situation many times where I've got guys who don't get a lot of playing time. And this article read that a lot of times those last players on the bench who don't see a lot of playing time become the best employees, parents, spouses, because they learn to totally buy into being part of something bigger than themselves. Rather than just, it's about me, they learn that their role is important, they're part of it even if they don't get the spotlight. And those people often go on to become the best adults.
Yeah, I tell that to my employees all the time when I hire them. I tell them that without you, I'm not going to be the best in town.
Right.
And so we have to work as a team. But that's pretty interesting. So when you put your basketball team together, that 10th guy, if need be, he's good enough to be on this team to play.
Yes.
And I'm sure you tell them that.
Yeah, and we always are really honest with kids in the when we form the team, we meet with everybody individually and say, here are kind of our expectations for you for this year. Here are the things that you need to continue to work on. here's what we anticipate your role being. Certainly roles can always change and be adjusted depending on how the year goes. But we try to just be really honest and have those conversations. It's always still tough for kids. And then we follow up partway through the year with, how are you feeling about things? And all those, those conversations have to be ongoing.
How about you're on a roll here, Brian?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I love it. No, and I think people are too. They're enjoying it. How about politics? How do you handle the politics in the game? Because I know sitting in the stands, I had 2 boys that played, and I heard a lot of disgruntled people. Well, his kid's playing because Pat's a school board member, and that's the only reason they're starting and this and that. That's farthest from the truth. But I handled that. That's part of life. Being in business, you're going to hear all the goods and the bads. But how do you handle that, Brian?
People always will think that, people always look for something to grasp onto. I've seen all sides of it. I've been the parent of a kid who sat. Right. I've been the parent of a kid who started. I've been the coach. So I've kind of seen all sides of it. So it really, I almost feel like I'm kind of impervious to it at this point, as far as the criticism goes, because I trust what I'm doing is for the best, is best for the team. But I will tell you, there's the comment, well, he only plays his favorites.
Right.
It's true. My favorites are the kids who show up every day, have a great attitude and a great work ethic, and do put in the extra time. Those are my favorites.
So you don't let a kid sit during practice and start him on Friday night?
What do you mean as far as?
If you got a star, maybe you don't have that up there, but if you have a star that he just natural ability to be your best basketball player, do you make him work as hard as the others?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
they work harder.
They work harder.
Usually, your best players should be your hardest workers.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay. So there's fairness up there, but you've never been. Well, I know you have pure pressure from anybody.
Oh, sure. I'll be honest with you. I've lost very dear to me friendships over coaching.
Yeah.
Because I've had kids come through and they don't feel like they got a fair shake. Kids who grew up in my house, who I love like my own sons, but. I have to make the best decisions for the team, and I've lost friendships over that, and that's tough. But ultimately, we're always doing what we feel is best.
Yeah, I went to Reed City game up there in Big Rapids, and Reed City beat us by 1 or 2 up there, and it was just one that they weren't falling for Big Rapids. Right. And this kid from Big Rapids hollered out something that wasn't a favorable speech, and I thought. It's just that's not Big Rapids. We don't need that. But it's the spirit of the moment thing, and people get carried away. Sit down, Kyle.
Sure.
But anyway, sheriff had to go to work, eh?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to keep this town safe. County safe, huh?
Yeah. I don't think I'm allowed to tell you what it was, but it was something very serious.
Oh, was it?
Hey, Pat.
Hi, Brian.
How you doing?
Kyle. Brian.
Close enough.
Like Brian. Yeah.
So they ran out of donuts? Is it?
Yeah.
I got donuts here. Either one.
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Well, Kyle, you're a sports nut. You got to get questions for these guys? Or?
Yeah, I do. And it is fantastic to see Brian Goodenow.
Good to see you
sitting
too,
in this
buddy.
chair, man. You look great. You're awesome.
Thanks.
Looks like it should be on the radio, right?
Well, he's got the
I always
voice,
had a
doesn't
face
he?
for radio.
On the way here, I hear this silky smooth voice coming on the radio, and it's like,
Thank you.
You know what? I don't have to teach a mic technique. That's what
I know
say.
that guy.
I smoked a pack of Marlboros on the way.
Yeah,
down,
there you go.
Just
There
to get
you
the
go.
resonance.
How the hell did you do that? And plus, what?
Yeah, that's totally a lie. I would never smoke a cigarette in my life.
No, I know that. No, but you were on the radio for how long?
37 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Something like that.
And then that was your full-time gig for?
It was, yeah. Yeah, many, many years driving, here in Big Rapids, and loved every minute of it, but at some point a different path called, and so now I work in education.
And you're great at that, too, and you got the wins to back it up as far as the basketball thing's concerned, so...
It's been a solid season so
Nice
far.
work. Nice work.
Thank
Are you
you.
coaching baseball too?
I'm not. I gave that up a few years ago. I did 10 years with Coach Rupert at Pine River, and he and I he graduated a year after me, and so we've known each other our whole lives. And I loved it, but it started to become. I was also doing all the announcing for the football games, and it started to become almost a year-round thing.
Right.
I'm like, I got to back off some things. So,
Wife
You've
probably
got,
told you that.
Quite the knack for fantasy football, too. I don't think you guys knew that, but back-to-back appearances in the championship for this guy, and I'm pulling for you to win it this year, for sure.
I don't know. I did
gonna
luck
be nice.
into a few.
And what? What are you pulling for?
You ever heard of fantasy football, Pat?
Oh, yeah. I don't have time for that. I only have so many days left.
He
I'm
can
in the
only
home
do so much
stretch.
strategy.
reality
Well, I don't want to
football.
do that.
No.
He's got to do reality football before he goes into fantasy
right,
football.
right.
So, switch. Can I ask Andy a question?
Yeah.
Have you coached boys before?
I have not.
Okay, so I was just curious. Your take. I mean, people always ask me because I coached girls earlier on. Like, what are the biggest differences between coaching girls and coaching boys? And so I was curious if you had that perspective too. But what would you say you enjoy most about coaching girls basketball?
I think girls are very. They like to learn. At least my girls, they listen so well. They're not about showboating. They just want to get out there and play basketball. I think girls' fundamentals are way, way better. Like you go up to college and pro ball. I can't watch pro ball at all anymore. College basketball, boys some, but girls' college basketball is phenomenal.
You're 100% right. I tell my kids all the time, like, I know you love the NBA, but understand what it is. It's made for television entertainment.
Yeah.
If you want to watch basketball to learn, watch major, Division I girls college basketball are the most fundamentally sound basketball players in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They really
Agreed.
are. Yeah, girls can't just rely purely, and somebody's going to say I'm anti-girl. That's not the case. Girls can't rely entirely on athleticism to make every play, where a lot of boys do.
Yeah.
Girls, though, are incredibly athletic as well, learn the fundamentals and do them well. You watch a girls' game, you see more bounce passes in a quarter than you see in a whole.
Yeah, you do, don't you? Honestly, let me follow up, and I love talking. But I'm going to tell you, I go to KK's game, and Rakoff, Tiffany coaches them, and I'll move right along fast. They went into Mount Pleasant. They annihilated their opposition. These girls passed, like you said, they passed 3 or 4 times. Then they'll drive down the center or they'll hit from the side. Very disciplined. They're in 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'm
Yeah,
sitting
it's
there
huge.
looking, watching, and then I watch the boys, and you're like, I won't say any more.
Yeah.
But I agree. The girls are very well disciplined, and
Like I said, get there Thursday night.
Yeah.
See some good girls
I'm gonna
basketball.
come. But I was talking to somebody the other day about the girls and boys, and they said, Pat, we got probably the best youth coming up right now, and those girls, if they don't win a state championship, somebody's got to be an awful lot better team, because we got some really good. The unfortunate thing, Brian, like you say, somebody's going to get cut because they got a lot of girls coming up there could make first team anywhere else.
I've got 2 girls, Melly and Katie, who are Melly was first team all area, first team all conference. I think Katie was maybe second team. And what I'll say about them is every timeout, every halftime, when I'm speaking, their eyeballs are right on me all the time. Even if I have nothing good at all to say and I sound like a fool, they're concentrating. They're like, okay, yep, coach. And therefore they're, as good as they are.
Mm-hmm. Kyle, what do you think?
I'm a huge component of defense, and you guys brought this up a little bit earlier that the NBA and the NBA plays no defense. There's no defense being played, and that's all I was when I played ball. I'm outside arc and all defense all day. So I go with the defense first and foremost, and that's what you get from the girls. I like the Loctite D, and I like a good defense. So
Are you coaching a little bit anywhere?
Not basketball.
No.
Nope. But baseball, football.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, one of my biggest pet peeves, I think, of boys basketball right now is when the other team gets a steal and they're coming down the floor, rather than sprinting back and get in position to cut off that guy with the basketball, they'll time their jog next to him to try and get the big swat off the backboard.
Yeah,
because and why?
You're so right.
And why is it? It's because of instant gratification. You hear that crowd go, oh, everybody goes nuts. But 90% of the time it's called a foul. So what's
Or
the
they
point?
just don't get it.
Where girls will sprint back, get in position to either take a charge.
Take the charge, right?
But the boys will always, they want to get that, no, I'm going to swat that shot away because they get the reaction.
Come watch Katie Buys. She is the best defensive player you will ever see, and she is lightning fast. She will run the length of the court and straight hands straight up, get even just beside the ground. Girls basketball, you get beside them. It's, 75% of the time they're going to miss the shot. And she does the best job of that of anybody anywhere. She's amazing.
I see that in the little girls too. They're right down there, ready to stop that.
Hands straight up. Don't reach over. Just keep your hands up and get beside them or get in front of them.
And that's a big thing of the game too that you don't see. You see it lacking in the NBA is running the floor. And you see it. I'm sure Brian, you're a fantastic coach in that regard. You're a hustle guy too. You got to run the floor. You know, you get 6 points, 6 or 8, 10 points out of running the floor, and that's all it is, right?
I got a good story about that with
Transition.
Katie Buys also. We played Wellspring Academy down in Grand Rapids. We were playing defense. She got knocked into the padding on the far end of the court. Melly got the rebound. My daughter started dribbling up court. Katie ran left side, beat everybody down the court from the baseline. Melly hit her with a beautiful pass, left-hand layup. So it was
Where was
beautiful.
the defense? They give up?
Oh, they were running, but they just couldn't run as fast. And they didn't have the heart that Katie did. So.
Right. Yeah.
And we run tempo too. We push the floor. We push the ball hard on offense, and I, insist on that on defense. Like if you want to take it out of the game, turn the ball over and then stand there and pout. Because that's one thing I can't. If you turn it over, you better be the first one getting back on defense. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Is basketball is there's no time to hang your head. It's happening. It's got to be the next play all the time. If you turn the ball over, that play's done. Get back on defense and get a stop.
Do the next right thing.
So, Brian, what's your philosophy on how many possessions do you have to have before you can start shooting threes? Your players.
I don't have any such rule, but I do just ask that they shoot a good three. Because again, we were talking about that momentum thing. I think our last home game last Friday, which I didn't even mention that we have 9 days off between games here, so that's been a long spell here. But I think we opened that game with a 3-pointer, and it was I think it was a transition three. We play a pressure half court defense.
Sure.
And got a turnover and drove the ball and then kicked it out to a guy for a step in three. And again, there's that momentum. You start the game with a splash.
Right.
But no, I don't have any like. It's
no
a
logo
quality
threes.
shot.
No, you know what a logo three is, Pat? A logo three, when they shoot from the logo on the court, it's like the deepest three you can.
That should be 5 actually.
Yeah, I agree. That
that'd
should be
be kind
5
of
points.
fun.
The other problem with that, though, Bob, is then all those kids would think they need to shoot.
That's all they need to do.
And I don't know about Danny, but I don't have any Caitlin Clarks on my team.
Yeah,
so
right.
We don't need the logo threes unless it's to beat the buzzer.
Yeah.
Wow,
Just short of a
the
half
hour's
quarter.
gone fast. I can't believe how fast this hour's going. I told Jim when I started this, I said, we're going to get some guys on here with a lot of knowledge of the games that they coach, and for sure, you two stepped it up again today for us, and we're very appreciative. We'd love to have you back. I know, Brian, you're kind of getting to be a little legend up there. Whenever your name's brought up, you're sought after as far as a DJ for a lot of years, did a great job on the radio. But, I mean this too. I mean, the greatest compliment I ever got in my life was a guy that worked for me, and I was tough on him. And he went to college here. He worked for us for 4 years. And I was hard on him, very hard. And he didn't like me. At least I didn't think he did. But as years went by, it might have been 20 years went by. And he came in the gas station, and I thought, oh, boy, he's going to thump me, He's bigger now, and I'm older. And it almost made me cry. He says, I'm going to tell you something. He says, you were the most important person I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
And he goes, I was a piece of you-know-what. Wow. And I was going to school because my mom and dad wanted me to go, and all I did was party. And you were on me all the time. Anyway, I won't brag about myself, but I bet you get that, don't you?
Well, I was going to say, Pat, that's those we call them I call them coaching paychecks, and it's not anything with any dollar sign on it. It's like this past summer, I had 2 of my former players who got married. Both of them invited me to their wedding, and both of them, there were several of my former players there, and I sat in the pews and cried. I love this. These are guys that I love, and to see them go on and become good human beings and husbands, it's an awesome feeling. It really is.
I tell my girls all the time, I say, you're not going to, student first, athlete second, yes, but you're not going to remember sitting in so-and-so's math class. You're not going to remember sitting in English class. You're going to remember those games, those battles, and that team. You'll remember. I mean, I remember 7th grade basketball games, for crying out loud. I'm 51 years old, That's what you take with you.
And even more than I think, even more than on the court, the things that you do as a team and as a family outside of it. We went bowling last week and just had a blast. And last summer, went played putt golf. We were playing a tournament in Traverse City and went played. Those silly, goofy things where they're laughing their heads off.
Yeah, we had the girls over a couple weeks ago and watched Hoosiers.
And you got to do that kind of stuff to be able to have the moments on the court and have the moments as a team to be able to come together as a team and try to win. And the outside moments are what counts.
Yeah. We'll just leave it with this too. The other thing is you'll see, and you guys will say this is true, athletes always smile. Maybe not during the game, but that next day or whatever. And when I think of Riley Vinnix, Chris's son, a 3-star athlete in football, basketball, and now coming baseball. He's a senior, going to go play at Northwood, I think.
Awesome.
In football, he is one of the nicest young men I know. And the reason I say that is because whenever he comes in the station, he's always smiling. He's enjoying life. He's really enjoying life. And why is he enjoying life? Because he's having success. Even though they got beat the other night, he had success throughout the year. And I tell you, don't you agree that every little athlete that comes off that team is smiling, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Agony defeat, yes, but they're smiling.
Right.
All right, Bobby, it's 10 o'clock. I apologize
Oh,
for
no worries.
nothing.
Good hour. Good
You
hour.
didn't let me finish.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
apologize for nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
this hour.
In fact, I asked for your apology, right?
But we do have to have these guys back, just like the other guys.
Absolutely.
Don't we?
The door's always open, whenever
And
you want to come in.
like Kyle said, when you heard his voice, you thought, hell, you're listening to a different radio station.
Yeah, what do I got inside?
Yeah,
Right.
Brian, and then
Hell, we
Well,
got
Brian
you guys.
finished his career here, so
That's right.
he came over here. He made the switch,
So
and
we
Kyle
have to
made
get
the
a
switch.
picture of
Everybody's
you three.
making the switch,
We have to get a picture of everyone here, actually.
There you go.
Today. Thanks again, Andy. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank
I think
you.
you brought a lot of insight. Brian, unbelievable. Kyle, thanks.
Thanks,
Bobby,
Pat.
God bless.
Thank you.
And sports next week on B1039. It's the Hot Stove League.